Buying a home? Don't panic. Just listen to the rest of this podcast. Welcome to Home Inspection Authority's Straight Talk Podcast with me, John LaForme. Are you a home buyer, a realtor, or maybe a home inspector? If you are, then this podcast is definitely for you. So let's get right into some straight talk about home inspections. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Have another special guest today, Sona Gallatin.
Hi, John.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, you are.
All right. How have you been?
Excellent. How have you been?
I've been busy. As you can see, I started a podcast in September.
Yeah.
And it's been going. It's been fun to make all these episodes, and this is going to be episode 12, I believe.
I've watched a few. Very informative.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Very informative. Yeah.
Good. That's good. I wanted you to come on because I've known you for several years, and you're a lot like me. You just say what's on your mind.
Yes.
And I like that about people. So
to a fault.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Exactly.
I'll take it.
You've always been straight with me, and I think I've always been straight with you.
Yes. And I appreciate that.
So how did you become a real estate agent?
I transitioned into real estate about 18 years ago after I bought and sold my first home. And I didn't know anything about real estate. And I had a family friend come and do a 5-minute inspection.
5 minute?
It wasn't even that long.
Wow.
He zipped in and out of that house so fast. He said, it's good. And I was so in love with this house that I just wanted to hear anything as long as I had the green light. It's the worst mistake of my life to this day because it was a catastrophic disaster financially.
Oh, it's a money pit?
Money pit is putting it mildly.
So give me an example of what went wrong.
So this was after the earthquake in '93. So I guess the sellers had gotten a lot of FEMA money,
Right.
but they didn't really use it on the house. And he did all the electrical work himself. So there were a lot of extension cords going to outlets. There was pretty much like $13,000 worth of electrical work that had to be corrected.
Wow.
That's just one.
Extension cords for permanent wiring.
Yes.
That is a no-no, everybody. That's
Yes.
a no-no.
Like the lights in the kitchen had an extension cord inside the attic that went somewhere, plugged into something. There were so many mistakes.
Wow.
It was a sad situation. So when I sold the house, I disclosed everything and I said to myself, I will never let this happen to anyone I know. And I got my real estate license. And really, I start off with that. I hear a lot of people say, I don't want to do an inspection.
And you're like, hell no.
Hell no. Yeah, not
Hell
on my
no.
watch. Yeah.
So that should be on your business card. I'm a good realtor for you because I've been there.
Yes.
I have made the mistake of being misrepresented or just did not take the time to hire a proper person to inspect the property for me.
Absolutely.
And it's my own fault. Whatever. It's just a live and learn. It's just a live and learn thing.
I don't remember who my realtor was at that time. I couldn't even tell you what his name was, and I wasn't given direction that this is what you need to do. So starting with a first-time home buyer or a seasoned one, I say, even though you've heard this before, maybe the first time you've heard this, I need to help you and guide you what you need to know going forward. Right when you think you want to make an offer, you need to contact your inspector and let him know, I made an offer, so heads up, I might be calling you for your first available inspection time. And that's important. It's important not to wait until the last minute to do an inspection.
Yeah. Now you're referring to talking to the client about that or the realtor?
To my client.
The client. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Unfortunately, the reality of the phone calls I get today are you available? Not are you qualified? Not do you carry insurance? Nothing of the sorts. It's just, can you come tomorrow? Or maybe even today? I'm like, no, it's 5:00. I'm not coming to your house right now. But anyway, that's the reality of the phone ringing. Now, I do have several realtors that I have known for several years, such as yourself, who just refer to me when you're ready for an inspection. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, it's generic traffic just coming in, and some people ask the right questions. Maybe 5% of them The rest are just
What
in
do
a
they
rush.
ask you usually when they call you?
Hi, is anybody available tomorrow?
Really?
That's the first question. Or the next day, or can somebody come Wednesday if it's Monday, or something like that. So it's never really so what kind of services do you offer? We just bought a house, and I do get those calls, but they're very, very minimal. When I get a client,
They never
calling
ask you
that.
how long will it take? What is
Yes,
covered in an inspection?
but not enough. That's my point, though.
Right.
The majority of the phone calls are very rushed. Everything's a panic. Oh, a lot of realtors that call me that I don't even know. They just find me on Google and they just call and, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so realtor at so-and-so brokerage, blah, blah, blah. We have a house. We just opened escrow and I know it's a short notice, but can you come tomorrow to inspect a 6,000 square foot house? No, I can't. So it's kind of like that, but they're not asking me anything else. So a lot of times, a good majority of my phone calls are realtors scheduling for their client. And I'm fine with that. I have no problem with who calls me. I mean, why would anybody care how they get the job? It's just a matter of they need to relay my message that I'm telling them to the client, which never really gets done.
Really? What do you mean?
So if they say to me, hey, John, so what kind of services do you offer? Well, I do general home inspections mainly. I do sewer camera inspections. That's typically the second question people have after they book me for the general inspection is, can you do the sewer also? So that's why I have that service. Yeah. But then I'll remind them, hey, look, please ask the seller if there's a clean out located somewhere. I'll give them a little bit of instruction to make everything go smooth, because don't forget, they called in a panic rush.
Yes.
So I'm trying to make sure everything's efficient to satisfy their needs so they have a good experience with me.
Right.
I don't want you to call me and rush me to the job and then I show up and I can't get into the crawl space, I can't get into the attic because everything was rushed. So I try to relay that in the phone call and say, look, another question would be, do I need to be there? Does the client need to be there? Well, the client should come at the end. Yes. So I can at least explain things to him. But
the realtor should be there.
Right. We'll get to that in a minute. That's called absentee realtors. Wow. We'll get to that subject.
Yeah.
So back to what I was saying is they will not relay those instructions to the client. So the client doesn't know what I said to the realtor. The client doesn't know what the realtor said to me. And then we all show up the next day and it's a catastrophe. The gas is turned off. I can't check the furnace, the water heater.
I can't believe that happens today.
It happens a lot. And it's getting
This is the most important step in purchasing a home.
Yep.
And by the way, I love that shirt. I want that shirt.
Hey,
I love it.
I always say, buying a home, don't panic.
Don't panic.
Call theauthority.com.
But I could totally see that chaos.
Want one? I'll get you one.
I totally want one. Absolutely. I love it. I understand what you're saying because I've seen that with other realtors, but I don't understand how it's how would you not know that you need to make sure the seller has all the utilities turned on for inspection and remind them constantly, make sure this is this, show me where the clean out is, because oftentimes it's under concrete and concrete has to be broken to get to it,
or gravel,
or they have
or whatever.
no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. It's we'll get to the sewer, real quick on the sewer camera inspections. It's never a guarantee that I'm going to be able to get into the line.
Yeah, especially in the valley.
There's no guarantee. There's just not. So I try to, like I said, be ahead of everybody and say, hey, look, make sure you ask this question so we don't get our expectations too high and I show up and I can't find an access and the roof may be made out of clay tile and I can't get up there and run a camera through the vent.
We go run into roots here too in the valley, right?
What's
a lot
that?
of tree roots.
Oh, everywhere.
Where you can't,
Not just the valley. You name it.
Everywhere.
You name it, we find it.
Wow.
So anyway.
John, I've had you do a pre-listing inspection for my sellers too, right?
I have, yep.
And I think that's just as important as buying a home and doing the inspection. Sometimes the sellers don't even know what condition their house is in.
Right.
So a pre-listing inspection could be helpful for everybody.
But that would entail you being proactive.
Yes.
And that's the word that nobody wants to use.
It's interesting.
And that's what I try to push with a lot of people. Most people don't want to spend the money. They don't want their client to spend a dime but they're always in a rush. So nothing really adds up. So everything's a rush, rush, rush.
Yeah.
And to have everything rushed, you really got to stay on top of stuff. You should actually go to the house if it's a vacant house. Number one, if it's vacant,
Yes.
the buyer's agent should definitely do a physical visit.
Agent visual inspection.
Not that. Just like show up the day before and just check everything. Okay, can I go in the kitchen and turn on the range?
Yeah.
If you could turn on the range, well, the gas to the building's on. That's a real simple way to find out. Or just run the hot water for like a couple minutes, and if it gets hot, great. You know the gas is on because the water's getting hot.
Right.
There's a couple tips for you just to make sure that the following day, when everyone shows up to do their inspections, it goes smoothly.
Right.
And that's what's missing. And that's the part that no one seems to give a shit about. And it drives me nuts.
How is that possible? It's the biggest purchase most people make of their lives.
It's because everyone's in a rush and realtors are not informing their customers well enough as to what needs to be done.
That's sad for my industry to hear that.
It's sad for my industry to hear that because
I think when you're trying to protect your client's investment and they're buying this house, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars, how could you not give your 100% attention to all these details?
Right.
Yeah.
And another point I would bring up too is I don't understand why an active realtor does not already have a couple of home inspectors that they deal with.
Yes, I do.
I mean, how would you?
Yes.
I mean, if I was a realtor, I'd want to know that I could count on some people who are reliable and who I know what to expect from them. I'm not going to get these surprises in their reports like, oh, one house, it calls out this. The next house had the same thing, but they didn't call it out. It's inconsistent. So, you want to have a home inspector that you deal with who's consistent with his report writing. Which is the key, which is what we're being paid for.
Yes.
Is the report writing. So,
John, you want to hear what I tell my clients when I tell them I have hired you?
What?
Or selected you for them because I know the best.
Right.
I say to them, he's the seller's worst nightmare because he'll find what's wrong with this house. He's very thorough. And I tell them.
That's just being thorough. I don't want you to take that the wrong way.
No, it's being thorough because you never know until you see behind the walls what's going on, and who best than a home inspector.
Yeah. So I mean, this job entails, looking at every area we can reach. It's a visible inspection. So what we can see with our naked eye is what we look at. And it's also a lot of, experience involved where I can troubleshoot something a little bit. And, that's kind of fun for me. If there's something to, investigate, it's like, oh, okay, what's going on here? What's going on there? It doesn't add up. So then I kind of look a little further and I could kind of make sense of what's going on and say, oh, it's not a big deal, or it is a bigger deal, or it's going to be expensive, or it needs to be addressed at least.
I've just seen in my experience, oftentimes a seller will try to hide something. Not everybody. I don't want to generalize.
Right.
But there are people who don't want to admit that there's something seriously wrong with their house, and they've done so many patch-up jobs on, let's say, plumbing, that they haven't dealt with the core issue because it's so expensive. But over the years, they've actually spent more than what it would have cost them had they handled the problem in the very beginning. So, yeah. So when you discover these things and breaking it to them, it's going to add up to some kind of money anyway. It's going to be a deduction in the price or a credit for repair, something like that.
Right. Oh, that's a good point you just brought up. Let me ask you about that. So on an average of, let's say you did 20 homes in last year. Let's say you sold 20, you found 20 homes for your buyers. How much was the average credit you got for each house?
For repairs?
Yeah.
I'd say if I had to put an average on it, it's going to be around $5,000.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's around $5,000 because I tell my clients when we're reviewing the inspection report together that we go over all the health and safety points.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we ask for, not the counters have a tiny chip and it's cosmetic.
Right.
Those aren't really the big issues. So I would say really it's been around $5,000, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of the figure I had too. Yeah. I think 4,000 and 6,000. I was thinking because then people question, well, why is your inspection service so much money? Well, I'm not the most expensive. I know that, and I'm not the cheapest, and I don't want to be the cheapest.
Right.
And I'm not here to price match with some knucklehead down the street who likes working for free.
I've seen those.
So yeah,
reports.
you have.
I've seen those. When I
and I think I've actually didn't I do an inspection for you that you already had inspected? Was it you or someone else? Somebody called me. Said, you know what? My client insisted on hiring this cheap guy, and he came in. And it was
I'm sure that we've had that a few times, where I've been like shocked. Yeah. Like, what is this report?
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, but I can't educate the buyer's agent when I'm on the listing side. I have to protect my seller.
Sure.
So when I see what they've done, it's like, honestly, I think maybe they didn't even look at the house, and they were there maybe half an hour to an hour. They wrote things that I personally know. There are carbon monoxide detectors, and they will write that they, little things like that.
It's like any industry, any type of business. You're going to have your good workers. You're going to have your not so good workers.
Absolutely.
It's. I'm not generalizing. It's just people. Some of us are different. Some of us have different motives. Some have different goals and so forth. So, I just think the more you do a consistent, thorough inspection, your work speaks for itself, and that's how you grow your business.
Your reports, though, are significantly different than the average report.
Well, I can't take credit for that. That's my software company.
Your software company is great because you actually have a repair request builder.
Yes.
And you highlight everything in color. So all the problematic areas are in red, and it's really easy to read your reports.
Right.
When I go through it with a client, I don't have to figure out if this is what the inspector is not going to cover, and you know what I mean? Sometimes it's really black and white with a bunch of check marks, and I don't know how to...
I see those too. I get asked sometimes to look at someone's report, which I typically won't do, but if they email it to me before I have a chance to tell them no, I'll just skim through it. I'm like, this looks like it was made in the Stone Age.
It looks like they just found an online form to fill out, and they just filled it out.
So the software I use is called Spectora. It's the reason why I switched from my old software is because I would contact the other company and ask them, hey, is there any way to adjust this or make this part a little better so I can modify it a little bit so it fits what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
And they always pretty much told me no. They gave me a lot of no answers.
Really?
And then another inspection company, I know the owner, Scott, and he turned me on to Spectora, and I started researching it, and I was like, oh, wow, this looks a lot nicer. It was easy to read. The format itself is what sells it. It just looks nice.
It looks nice, and it's easy to just
navigate.
Follow along. Yes.
Easy to navigate. Yeah. It's like navigation in your car. You want it to be easy, right? It's the
you
same
have to
thing.
Because like buyers, when they're buying a home, they're overwhelmed with documents, overwhelmed with so many contracts that they have to read and go over. They're getting one report after another, the seller's report, the termite report, whatever. Yep. When it comes to the home inspection, sometimes they do skim right through it and just get to the summary. And other times it's like, okay, now you have a choice. You can download this and really look at it. And when I'm writing like a repair request, I cross-reference the report because I submit that with it. Sometimes, John, I've seen agents, they will just send me the inspection report from their inspector, and they will list every item in there that was inspected, everything, on 2-3 pages of the repair request. Or they'll just send me a repair request that says, see attached inspection report. Yes. Yeah.
Someone took the short road on that one.
In today's market, that could really kill something. It could kill a deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, as we were talking, the biggest problem right now is the rush. The rush is going to get people in trouble. And here, I'll give you a great story on one right now.
Okay.
A few months ago, I was called to inspect a house. Turns out the seller didn't want any inspections there. He didn't want anybody coming in to inspect anything. He was like saying, no inspections, buy it as it is, blah, blah, blah. And the client still wanted to go through with the process.
Buyer has that right.
Yep. And then after they moved, so they told me, you know what, let's postpone this inspection until after we get the keys. Then we'll have you come in and go through it.
No kidding.
The house had settled 6 inches on one side. The house went like this some years ago.
He couldn't have not known that.
Exactly. So I don't know how they dealt with it after the fact, but that's what I found out when I got there, and I had to refer him to a geotechnical engineer.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of deflection. It was a strange case. There was a lot of foundation cracks I found, a lot of indications walking up to the house that the sidewalk was separating from the street, the driveway was separating from the sidewalk, and so forth. So because the house had sank like this, it pulled the other materials.
What would make a buyer accept that? What would make a buyer? I know that buyers right now are really desperate, and in some areas there's like a little bit of a bidding war. So once they get an offer accepted, they don't want to say anything to mess that up.
I think it's probably I would say the key factor in that would be the location of the house. Maybe they have to be in a certain area, and maybe that's all there was. I think it's a lack of. I think it's kind of desperation as to and lack of inventory. And I think that drives it. That's my opinion.
Contractually, that's illegal to tell from a seller to insist that there's no inspections because he may not want it, but a buyer has that right. The buyer's offering you, thousands of dollars for your hundreds of thousands for your property.
Yep.
They have their right to do their own investigation, inspection, and look at everything.
But these things don't bother some people either.
Well, they must have a lot of money to throw away.
Absolutely. But at the same time, just by being around my customers, I get the feeling that they just don't care.
Honestly?
They just don't care.
Well, they don't care.
Some
but
don't,
when it
some
comes to
might.
blame somebody, they will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why we have to be thorough.
Yes.
Let them know what we found and recommend further evaluation. That's as far as we can take it. I can't tell them anymore. I can lead the horse to water. I can't make them drink it.
I know. I hear you on that.
You can't. There's just no way to do it. Some of my customers are very responsive to me. Like they really listen. They'll call me like, "Hey, thanks so much for telling me to do that. Turns out, we have to do this and this." Hey, no problem. That's what my job is. So. Wow. I get a lot of appreciative customers too, but a lot of them are just in a rush and no one really thinks twice about it afterward. I don't get phone calls from anybody at all. Like buyers don't ask no questions about the reports, nothing.
Really?
Huh. Yep. So it's interesting.
It's interesting. Right?
Now, if there's a problem later on down the road,
they call you
because they failed to listen to my instructions. And they'll call me and say, well, hey, if you look on page 28, it tells you right there to get that looked at. Did you have it looked at? No. Well, what do you want me to do? I can't make you do stuff.
That's right.
I can only give you the documentation and say, look, you found a problem here. You should further evaluate it. That's all I can tell you. So let me switch gears a little bit here.
Okay.
And I took the liberty of just doing a little research this morning. And according to the California Department of Real Estate, the 2019 stats of how many brokers there are in Los Angeles. So it shows me about 131,000. Realtors, almost 300,000. Yeah. That's a lot. I don't need to meet 300,000 realtors.
Yeah.
And there's not a single home inspector out there who needs to know that many realtors.
Yeah.
So that to me is just a crazy stat that I just wanted to bring up because myself, if I was only doing one house a day, and let's say I worked on Saturdays and Sundays, at 30 houses a month. What's that come to? Like three something a year?
But it's not even 10% of all the realtors.
It's really low compared to how many other sources there are. So the amount of work in Los Angeles for home inspectors is through the roof.
I'm sure.
I mean, there's so much work for everybody out there if you just get out there and get it, Just get out there and get it. So then I checked on 2020 home sales, and it says about 440,000 homes were sold in 2020.
Yes.
And that was up about 1,700 more than 2019.
Yeah.
That is a lot of houses.
And that was during pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't sleep during the pandemic. I was working every day, all day. It was nuts for the whole year. I'm sorry, not the whole year. From March 1st, literally from March 1st, took off like a rocket. It was crazy.
It was a crazy busy year for me too.
Yeah.
And just for about a month, it kind of slowed down because of uncertainty. But once we were given instructions on what to do to show a home and the PEDS advisory forms that had to be filled out.
How many of those I filled out?
Just like crazy.
I filled out so many of those.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Now they're not required anymore.
In the beginning, I had a little resistance on that because I don't like signing stuff I don't have my lawyer look at.
Yes.
So I walk into the house. The realtor goes, "Oh, you got to sign this." I'm like, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
People are just trying to be demanding about it. So I was like, "No, I ain't signing it. So I'm gonna send this over to my lawyer. He can tell me to sign it."
Right.
I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
It just happened. It's like me walking up to you, "Hey, sign this." What's it for? You have the right to look at it beforehand.
That's right.
And read it. And they should have sent those out prior.
Yeah.
But then after that, we all started getting the DocuSigns, which are emailed to us way before the job day, so the inspection date. So
I usually would explain to the person I'm sending the PED, which was the advisory form for the client to sign, explain it in summary what they're signing and tell them why they had to sign it during the pandemic, and they would sign it on DocuSign before we even went to the property. But I know the realtors that would have it at their open houses or sit there and have people sign before they go in. I don't know what you're signing away there. How do you know if they've changed it or not? But,
exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go to that a little bit. And by the way, you're with Keller Williams, correct?
I'm with EXP now.
EXP? Oh, I didn't know that.
I switched over about a year ago because it's more cloud-based. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
EXP.
But to be honest and completely open,
Please
Keller
do.
Williams, yes, Keller Williams has an amazing educational base. I miss teaching classes there. I miss the interaction of the office environment because everything with EXP is more cloud-based. It's like I really have no clue who's in my group. But that's more on me. I'm too busy to be online all the time looking at the office stuff. So either way, if you have access to the proper forms and documentation and classes and keeping up to date with everything, you're good. Yeah. But I run into a lot of agents who just don't. They don't. They don't even know what the contract says. They don't even know how to fill it out.
Right. Isn't there a part of the real estate sellers, what's it called? The sellers, the buyer's form that says that the buyer needs to be allowed access to the property.
The inspection contingency period is usually 17 days. Mm-hmm. That's standard, but you could make it less, you could make it more, where they're allowed access to the property during that time to satisfy all of their inspection needs. Whether it's the neighborhood, you're at that point you already have the seller's disclosure, so you're cross-referencing what the seller has already told you about the property. If your inspector tells you the roof looks like it might need a roofer to check it out, you've got time to schedule all this and get it done. And honestly, you have to be allowed access to the property. That's why when earlier you said that one seller refused to have inspections done, to me, that would have been a red flag. And I would have told my buyers, run like hell, because this doesn't feel right to me. I could not, if you want to take a chance and get into a property that the seller's denying access, they're hiding something. If you want to do that, then yeah.
Yeah, apparently that's a red flag on a 30-foot pole.
Yes, it is.
That's a big one.
Yes, it's a big one.
Like I said, I just think it's desperation to maybe they're just moved from out of state and they got to they don't want to rent anything. I don't know. I just think we all make our decisions.
Though.
Yeah, I think we all make our decisions based on, rushing and unfortunately.
Now that 17-day contingency period doesn't mean that you should wait until day 16 to call your home inspector. Usually what I like to do is once I've submitted an offer, I like to give my inspector a heads up.
Sure.
Hey, John, I just submitted it looks really good. We might get it. So I'll let you know once we're in escrow.
Yep.
The minute we're in escrow, the person that I reach out to after I told my buyer we have an accepted offer is my inspector. And I get that scheduled in right away. So that we have time to review the reports in that 17-day or 10-day, whatever we've decided.
Now, in that same disclosure, does it say that all utilities must be on?
Yes.
Another one that just gets...
They don't read...
Right out the window.
People don't read everything. They just don't.
Right.
And agents don't.
Right. And that's why I brought up earlier, it's really important for the buyer's agent to literally do a physical look at the house, like show up, walk around the house, see what's going on. Go, like I said, go inside. If it,
Yes.
especially if it's a vacant home. If the home's occupied, you shouldn't have to worry about these things. But if the home is vacant and it's been remodeled or it's a flip, you got to go look and make sure the utilities are on, because most of you don't do it. Most of you don't. Hang on. Most don't do it, but
how could they not do it? There's an actual form that they have to fill out called an AVID, Agent Visual Inspection Disclosure, where they have to do their own. So I don't understand why.
Well, this is what happens.
Yes.
Let's get into the old subject of the absentee realtors. Let's get into that, and that'll explain some of this away.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a vacant home. I show up. Buyer's agent or a listing agent may be there.
Right.
Typically, the buyer's agent shows up. It's not every day that a buyer's agent doesn't show up. That's very rare.
But they should.
But they should, at least to get things started. Make sure everything's okay, and then they can take off. I'm going to be there for 2.5 hours. I don't need you to sit around. If you got stuff to do, by all means, go do it. But come back at the end and listen to everything. So
John, do you remember in the beginning, I used to shadow you, like wherever you were going, I was at your heels in the beginning because I wanted to learn what you were doing so I can explain it to my buyers.
Right. Well, that's good. You were paying attention. Did you learn anything?
I learned so much from watching you do home inspections.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
I don't follow you around that way anymore, but I'm present at the home inspections. I like to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens is, like I said, if the listing agent doesn't show up and the buyer's agent does, somebody has to let me in. So the buyer's agent is typically the one that lets me in, which is great. And then I go in and I may say hi for a second, but I typically start on the outside. And the first thing I run across is the gas meter. The gas meter has this big silver boot on it, which means you can't see the valve, the shutoff valve, which means the gas company has come by, turned off your gas, and put a boot on it because no one's been paying the bill or it's been turned off.
No kidding.
So that's very common. So that's the first.
That's common?
That's very common on a vacant house.
On a vacant house.
Yeah, because the sellers may be really tight with their money and they don't want to leave the utilities on. So they just turn everything off and they just wait for something to happen with the house. And then they forget they turned everything off, but the listing agent thinks everything's on. Oh. So this is where the fun part comes in. So now I just walked around the outside of the building and now I have to tell the buyer's agent and the buyer, by the way, the gas is off. I cannot check your furnace. And what does he do? He gets right on the phone with the listing agent who's not there. Oh yeah, it's on. Everything's on. And I'm like, what am I, invisible? I just told you and I just pointed it out. By the way, come here. In my world, seeing is believing.
Right.
So I bring the realtor right over. See that? That's a boot. That means the gas is off. Now go inside and turn on the stove. So he tries. And I've had realtors... This one comes to mind several years ago. She refused to accept that gas was off at that house when we showed up to inspect it.
No kidding.
There was a boot on it. I walked her to it. I said, ma'am, that is a boot. That means the gas company put that there and there's no gas. I said, if you don't believe me, go turn on the range, go run the hot water. And if you can get hot water out of that faucet, I'll do this inspection for free. Sure enough, she checked everything. Refused to believe me because the other person on the phone
told her,
kept telling her, it's on, don't believe your inspector. And she didn't believe me. So here's the fun part of that. So months later, she calls me again for another house. And I said, don't call me anymore. Okay. She's like, why? I said, because you don't trust me. I showed you something right in front of you and you refuse to believe me. I don't even know why you're calling me.
Okay.
I said, I don't want your business.
Well, good for you, John.
You have to do that sometimes
you have to,
because they're just going to make your life miserable.
There was a time, and I haven't needed to do this in a long time, but back in like 2007, there were a lot of vacant homes. There were a lot of short sale homes, and there was a lot of properties with utilities shut off. So as the listing agent, I would have the utility company turn on everything under my name just for the time during inspection, and I would pay for it. It's not that much money. No. And it was worth it for me to have it everything operating as it should while I have the property inspected for my buyer or my seller.
Sure. Yeah. And one thing I'll point out too, if I do show up at your house, if you hired me to come to your house and I show up and the utilities are off, like when I say utilities, it's typically the gas that's off. Typically electricity's on.
Yeah.
It's very rare that the electricity is not on. So It doesn't mean I can't inspect your house. It means I can't test a couple systems. So I can still inspect the system that I can't test. So in other words, I'm still going to look at your furnace and make sure it's connected properly, make sure everything looks like it's done correctly, but I just can't turn it on to tell you if it's performing right. So I'm still inspecting the unit. Just like your water heater, even though it's not on and I can't turn it on, I'm still going to inspect the visual. I'm going to do my visual inspection on it, make sure there's no obvious signs of leaking,
Right.
or there's corrosion on it, or it's missing several components like expansion tanks or TPR valves and so forth. So I'm still doing my job. I just can't test that one piece of equipment. So
it's kind of a half inspection.
Not
by your fault.
No, the inspection's done. I can't test that system. So I
But
wouldn't
that's
call
an
it,
important part of the inspection
Right.
is to make
Right.
sure that it's not just connected, but
And
it
then-
operates.
And then they think, well, John, you can just come back. I'm like, well, no,
Yeah.
I can't just come back because I have a full schedule already.
Right.
Why, if you would have just came a couple days before and made sure this was done, everybody'd be smiling right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's my point. And that's the shortfall that I see too often. And I really wish that would change.
So I
It's
wonder
not
when
fair
you
to
run into a
customers.
situation like that and say you have to go back, you're going to charge, of course, because...
Exactly.
Okay. So if I were the agent that made that mistake, that would be lost from my pocket. I would never expect my
I
buyer.
always tell my
because I think
customers
that I should know better.
to
right?
charge the sellers for that. I always tell them that.
Charge the sellers
I charge the buyers, and I tell them to recoup that in their final
Yes.
sale, because that's nonsense. Like the paperwork says, you just mentioned,
Yes.
the seller's disclosure, is it called the seller's disclosure agreement?
There's a seller's property questionnaire.
Okay.
And then there's the transfer disclosure statement. Those
Okay.
have a lot of questions where the seller has to fill out exactly what they know to the best of their knowledge. What they know is working, what they've replaced, what they've changed,
Right.
what has happened to the property, down to like if there's any pets, even the not welcome ones. If
Yeah.
they have, right? Because we see that. Right?
We do see that. Yeah. I don't like dealing with big dogs. I'd rather just take them off the property.
What I wanted to talk about with you is the buyers who have like family friends that do the home inspection.
Oh, that's always a fun topic.
Yes, and then or buyers who think, oh, I can replace this, no problem. And they have absolutely no construction experience whatsoever. You, I know, have construction experience.
Yes, I've built houses in the past.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can identify problematic situations and can guesstimate a cost of something, right?
Wait, I just remembered something.
What?
Remember that house I did for you way out in like Canyon Country where the guy built the addition onto the existing house and it wasn't permitted?
What was the address?
Remember
on
that?
Do you
Remember it cost like, I told him to get a structural engineer. And
Oh,
it was like
yes, I remember that.
$45,000.
Oh my gosh. John, that was
gotta
a funny
talk
one.
about it. I just remembered
because
that.
I remember that because you showed me where the addition swagged down like 2.5 inches
Yep.
in the center, and he refused to believe that anything was wrong with it.
That house
Yes.
was so unsafe. It was ridiculous. So let me
Yeah.
explain that to everybody. This was I believe it was a 1920s original structure.
Yes.
It was really tiny.
It was originally a little
It might have been
bungalow.
like 1,000 square feet.
Yes.
And the owner built a 4-car massive garage onto it, and he had a living area above it. So when you first look at it, when you pull up, everything looks fine. But then I went into the garage and I look up at the ceiling of the garage, which is the floor system for the living area
I
above
remember
it.
that house.
And I saw 2x6s nailed together, spanning
They might
the
as well
entire
have been stapled
floor,
together.
spanning the entire floor. So what the framer didn't do is he didn't find the middle of the width of the building
Yeah.
and put in a seriously big support beam, and then run the floor joist from the front to the middle and from the back to the middle. He did not have a beam in there, and they literally took 2x6s. I'm talking 20 to 30 feet of 2x6s and nailed them together. Three of them nailed together, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
That was
I've
pretty
never
bad.
seen anything that bad.
I don't
to
think
this
in
day.
18 years I've seen anything that bad either. And he reluctantly had the engineer come out and check, and the engineer agreed and would not permit it until he had it corrected.
And I think the number was what, 45,000?
Yes, and he kept saying, "Oh no, I can have some guy just no, you don't want just
No,
some
man.
guy writing anything off for you.
That was a tough one for me to explain because I knew he built it himself.
He's got a lot of pride.
But then he did admit he didn't have the qualification himself to do it, but he
Yes.
had someone come help him do it, and that guy's the one that told him this would be okay.
Yes.
So that floor, just so you know, to continue on with this little nightmare of a framing job, it was bad.
Yeah.
So I go upstairs with my laser level, just out of morbid curiosity. I throw
Yes.
a laser level on the floor. The middle of the upstairs living area had a 2-inch drop.
I remember that. I remember seeing that.
2-inch drop on the floor. There was no support under it. I'm surprised that building didn't just implode.
I remember you
cave
showing me
in.
that. Cave
Yeah.
in that way.
I'm surprised it didn't. And I believe I found some other structural defects with that too, with the framing. I believe some of the walls were out of level.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I think what scared the seller finally is to say that should someone get caught in this building and die, it's
Yep.
going to be on you.
Yep.
Because you can't just say you have the permit and not produce the permit. And you have to be able to trace the permit with LA Building and Safety and see the records of who the contractor was, when the permit was applied, when they applied for the permit, if it was completed and done. It'll say on their website completed, and you can print a copy of that printed, completed, updated permit, and you ought to if anyone tells you, "Oh, I've had this done," and "Oh yeah, it's permitted."
I can't believe I just remembered that because as you were saying
That was a
something, I'm like,
doozy.
wait a minute, I remember. It was you I did that job for. You're the one, you referred me to the buyer. Yep.
I remember another
was
buyer
crazy.
in the Hollywood Hills area. Do you remember? Where the seller had this started construction on a retaining wall, and they said, "Oh, it's taking a long time because the city, whatever excuse they had, let's just leave your buyer $25,000 in escrow, and they can finish the job after we
Oh,
close."
I do remember that.
And I said, no. And you know what? Every agent wants to close a deal because you get paid, right?
Sure.
I was not willing to let this deal close unless they had that completed. And it was like pulling teeth because the listing agent wanted to close. He goes, "Come on, Sona, let's just wrap this up. Let's just wrap this up. We'll leave plenty of money, $25,000.
Let's just wrap this up.
I'll tell you.
Put a bow on it.
I double checked, even talked to the geotechnical people myself, and it took months. We closed that 9 months later, and the price to finish that retaining wall was over $100,000.
Yeah, I believe it's like I just had a geotechnical guy on as a guest, Abe Simontop, and he said it's like $400 a square foot.
Yeah.
For
It's
a
gone up.
retaining wall.
This was several years ago, so I imagine now it's
Yeah.
even more. But can you imagine if I had told my buyer, yeah, let's just close? That's a huge mistake financially, and that buyer would have probably said, "Never again will I trust this realtor who was
That's
so
right.
quick to close a deal just to make the commission and not looking out for my money."
Yeah, what's the use of closing that deal too early, getting your money, and then just giving it back
That's
a few
right.
months later?
Yeah, that's right.
Just bad business, man.
I know.
Desperation.
But there's good business out there too.
Sure, there is.
Yeah. And there's people who do their jobs well. Like you do your job really well, very thorough. So confidently, like as a realtor, when I hire an inspector like yourself to inspect a property, I could say that, okay, all the problem areas are going to be highlighted in this report. We're going to go over it together. It's like full disclosure. Everyone knows what they're going into.
Mm-hmm.
If the buyer decides that they're not going to ask the seller for any credit for any of the repairs, they can choose not to.
Right.
Going eyes wide open that they're going to have to expect some of those repairs right when they move in. Some of the urgent ones anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot to swallow there, It's just like it's a lot to unpack when it comes to this. But I just wish things would change a little bit. I wish things would just get a little more in favor of the buyers. Look, you're selling a home. I get it. I've sold homes,
Yes.
and I understand that the buyer wants to. I get it. I just don't understand why most people don't. I just don't understand that.
I don't either. I can't explain that away. And I've bought and sold homes myself. And when it came time for me to sell my last house, my seller's disclosure were pages after it went into overflow documents, because even if, let's say, on those wooden blinds that you have and the threading is off, it may not look broken, but to me, I had to say the threading is off. So sometimes if you don't fix the threading, it's going to be a little lopsided, down to the detail of that, even though it might not mean or be significant to someone else. But I feel like as a seller, it's your responsibility to let the buyer know every detail about the house as best you can.
And some buyers want to know every detail.
Yes, they do.
I've met buyers like that, and I'm like, whoo, okay.
Sometimes too, also too much. Like I remember having a buyer. Oh my gosh, remember having this buyer. This buyer, I let go of her like a hot cake. Oh my gosh. I had the agent call me once. The agent, after I took her to an open house, the agent called and said, honey, nothing is worth this kind of commission. And I knew at that point I had to let her go. So she would basically just look at a house. She would talk to the neighborhood. She would want to know how old the children were. She would want to know, and she'd calculate how old the kids were going to be when she moved in, and she didn't want to be near noisy teenagers. And I would tell her, that person could be there now and then sell their house next week, and you could have a noisy teenager. Then she would walk through the house, and I'm not kidding you, she would say things like, who the fuck puts a washer dryer in the hallway? And John, she was an elderly woman, like in her close to 70.
Set in her ways.
She was they were buying a home all cash. This was several years ago.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. They were buying a home for like 1.3 million all cash. Back then, that was pretty good money for the Valley, right? Yeah. She had the mouth of a truck driver and would embarrass me at every showing. This woman is insane. Last thing I'll say about her, because she was so off the charts crazy, I showed her a house where the neighbor had a bird aviary in the back. She didn't buy that house, but she called animal control or whatever and reported them about the bird aviary. She wasn't even going to be a neighbor.
And she reported them.
We get a lot of lunatics in this business, and we get a lot of really great people.
I've met quite a few.
Yes, yeah.
And I have to walk away too.
Yes, yeah.
I've had many realtors call me and promise me 30 home inspections a month if I give them a deal on one, and I'm like, ma'am, I don't need your business.
So I don't understand that too, John.
That's some old school logic right there.
I just don't understand that, because you're providing a service that they need.
Yep.
So how willing are they to give up their money or their client's money? Someone who's asking you for...
It's ridiculous. They just think they have to sell me on something. Like, well, ma'am, you don't need to sell me anything.
Especially on 3 homes a month. What is that?
If you need a home inspection, I'll be more than happy to help you out if I'm available for that day. But you don't need to promise me the world to get me to show up. I'm not looking for that.
Right.
But that's a old tactic that some of these these flippers use.
Oh.
Well, I need you to do. I need someone to do a 30. We got like 15 houses. I said, ma'am, stop. I already do 25 to 30 houses a month. I can't do anymore. I'm the wrong guy. So you should call somebody else. Mm-hmm. And then that's it. I just end the call. I don't need to get into that rabbit hole that they're, creating right there. It's like, no, I don't need to go there. So,
hey, now that you mentioned it, what do you think about the flipper houses?
Oh, I love flipper houses. Those are my most entertaining reports yet.
Yes, they all look pretty on the outside, right?
They sure do. All that cosmetic. You walk in, wow. I'll give you a good example of a flipped house that just went really bad. It was built in 1908, and you walk in the front door, and then everything was just white. That's always a red flag for me when everything's white on an old building.
Yes.
Because white hides everything. If you were to paint walls like a dark brown or a black, you'll see every flaw in that wall. So white paint hides everything.
Interesting.
So this house, I go in and I start walking uphill, and then I start walking downhill. Then I go into the bedroom. I'm going downhill again. And the buyers have already been inside. Their realtors already been inside. No one's mentioned it to me.
Really?
No one's brought it up like, oh, hey, by the way, why are the floors dipping? So I go into the house, and sure enough, brick foundation. There's a brick foundation. You can't anchor your house to a brick foundation. and they tried to hide it. They skim coated the brick with a mortar all the way around. But the layer was so thin, you could see the brick indentations, all the bricks.
No kidding.
I was laughing my ass off when I saw that.
Crazy.
I was like, look at these guys. They try to just hide it. Why don't you put a little more, thickness on your skim coat?
Oh my gosh.
So I had to tell them,
that's worse than...
you have a brick foundation. And they were smart. They had a foundation guy come too. He showed up shortly after I did.
Yeah.
And I was already under. I said, by the way, I didn't even go under there yet. I looked at one section from the outside looking in, and I could tell it was brick.
Wow.
I said, by the way, it's brick. He goes, no way. I said, yeah. I said, go take a look. And so it was all brick.
You've even seen some foundation posts under the basement being held together with like wooden shims, like pieces of cardboard.
Well, they're not being held together. They're just shimmed. So the shims are not glued or nailed. They're just, because what probably happened there was the soil had settled or the floor lifted from maybe expansive soils or something. And what happens is there'll be a gap between the wood column and the concrete pier it's supposed to sit on.
Yeah.
So what they do is they just tap in some shims. So in case but the problem is when it drops back down, now it's going to cause more of a slope inside the house, deflection, more floor deflection. So back to the flipping things. That's one of the things I find. I've been under other houses where I'm running the bathtub, and I go before I go under the house. I always run a lot of water before I go under the house. That tells me if I have leaks.
Right.
Current leaks. So I run a lot of bathtub water, sinks, showers. I let them run for like 5 or 10 minutes on each bathroom. So I go under the house and I'm like, oh my God, it's soaked under here. What the hell is going on? So I get on my phone and I call the realtor inside. I knew the realtor. Hey, do me a favor. Can you turn on the bathtub? Sure enough, bathtub thing was totally disconnected. There was no plumbing for the bathtub under the house.
What?
There was no plumbing. There was no drain pipe.
Oh my gosh.
It was just missing. And that's why I didn't spot it right away.
Wow.
I said, hey, I need to see where this water's coming from. Luckily, I wasn't under it. I was next to it, and it just came pouring out. So
that's insane.
Yeah, so that's what you can find. And another thing that you really got to look for is these old houses, like 1920s homes that are flipped. I find a brand new 200 amp panel outside, and it actually looks nice. Like I pull the covers, the grounding's good. It's got AFCI breakers, all this stuff. And then I go inside the house and I go in the attic and it's all knob and tube. Wow. So it's like lipstick on a pig.
Yes.
Wow, it looks so nice from the outside. But that's why you need a home inspection, because you need to have the rest of that stuff looked at. And when you go in the attics and the crawl spaces, that's where you find the horror stories. Mm-hmm. That's when the house is talking to you right there.
I feel like they skimp also on anything related to the attic or the roof when they're doing a flip. They don't insulate the attics. No. They spend as little as they possibly can to make the most in the shortest amount of time. Yep.
And I think flippers would be way more successful if they skimped in different areas. They skimp in the wrong areas all the time. And I think that's probably why most of those deals don't go through. So a little advice to you flippers out there. Don't skimp on the electrical. Don't skimp on the plumbing. And don't skimp on the, electrical, plumbing, and the HVAC. If you're going to upgrade an HVAC system, replace the duct. Okay.
All right.
A lot of times they leave the old asbestos wrap up there.
Yes, I've seen that too.
And that's a violation of Title 24, California Energy Efficiency Code.
Yeah.
So that's all. I report that all the time. And honestly, HVAC is my favorite thing to inspect because I love the shortcuts people try to take on that stuff.
And they do. Is that the one area where people take the most shortcuts?
I believe so. I do. You'll see an upgraded furnace, but they don't seal the plenum underneath. Mm-hmm. It's all pulling air. It's full of dust and dirt and pet hair and insulation, and they got this brand new furnace on top. Or here's a good one. You have a 30-year-old furnace with a Nest thermostat.
Oh, I've seen that.
People see the Nest and they think, oh, I got a really nice Nest thermostat. Yeah, but it's connected to an old dinosaur.
Yeah. That's
barely going to work right.
When I walk into a house, one of the first things that I like to look at is the air filter, the intake area.
Yep, that's the
return.
And
if that is if it has no filter, or if it's so disgustingly dirty, you could see the dust coming through it. To me, it's like it could be the shiny, prettiest house on the outside, but I know if they neglected that, there's going to be other stuff wrong.
Absolutely.
Because that's the air you breathe. How could you like leave it to get so filthy?
You got to change your filters like every 2 months.
Yes, that's what I say.
If your return filter is located on the wall by the floor and you have pets,
yeah,
you need to change that more often than that, because that pet hair gets sucked right into that as soon as you turn on that system.
Such an easy fix, and I can't believe people just don't do it.
I know. It's just nowadays they have these really cool services where you can order online.
That's right.
Even with Amazon and stuff like that, and they'll automatically send you a new filter. So when you get it, you know it's time to change it.
Yeah.
And bam, just pop it in. It takes 2 seconds. Unless you have an attic filter system. Sometimes they put them in the attic right at the furnace, which I don't like.
Right.
I take it out of there, put it in the ceiling, something like that, and just do a little modification there.
See, isn't it so amazing? Like, I hope that people who are listening to this podcast pay attention, because you could learn so much that when you're out there looking at houses to buy your next property, you've got a bit of an idea on what to look for instead of just looking at all the
cosmetics.
things.
Yeah. We always get caught up in the visuals,
Yes.
and that's what people are hoping for, that you're going to avoid, ignore the big dollar things and stuff like that. And another thing to point out too with any home, whether it's a flipped house or just an older house that hasn't been upgraded, is you have to get that sewer line checked.
Yes, I think
Do
that's
not
important
ignore
too.
that. I tell people this every day, and like, oh, you're just trying to get business. No, not well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a business. I'm in business to make money. Yes, but it's a great service because you're going to know what the condition of that pipe is underground. There's no other way of knowing. And here's a little false. How can I put that? A little myth that people think. Some realtors I know think this way, and just by running the faucets and the flushing the toilets, if nothing backs up, everything's okay.
Really?
That's what they think. That is not even close to being accurate.
Right. That's not.
No, it would take, for example, if your house is 30 feet long in one direction, let's say the toilet's in the back of the house, and you flush that toilet, and that pipe, that water has to run out 30 feet to escape the outside of the house structure.
That's right.
And then there's another 60 feet of sewer line.
That's right.
So let's say there was a blockage right by the sidewalk. It would take you hundreds of flushes for that to actually turn into a backup to actually reach the house.
Right.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So that's why that's really not a good gauge of whether or not your underground plumbing needs to be looked at. There's only one way to do it, and that is with a sewer camera inspection. So if you don't hire me to do it, hire someone else to do it. Because if you spend a couple $100 to do that, $200-$300, you could find easily $5,000 worth of repair.
Especially, I
or
think
more,
the
a lot
main
worse.
line that goes from the house to the street.
That's what I mean.
That's the most critical part.
Yeah.
And wasn't it you that taught me years ago, when we're looking at houses and we see the trees in the front, everyone has like big trees in the front, that the canopy on top of where the branches are matches the roof of where it's spreading underneath?
No, I didn't tell you that.
Because I've kind of looked at that as kind of a rule of thumb, but not necessarily for all trees because it depends on the tree type. So when I see trees that are so close to the property and already lifting up and under on older homes, I can tell that there's going to be a problem. There has to be. If they haven't done any plumbing upgrades, then something's going to show up.
Right.
And
Most
to
of the
neglect
time,
that camera would be just...
Yeah, a big tree in your front yard. If your sewer line runs from your house out to your street, well, there's a good chance you may have some roots there. You could have some offsets. The roots push on the pipe and it kind of throws it out of whack, so it's not straight anymore. It should be like this, but sometimes they wind up like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty common thing. But my point is, if you're getting the house inspected, don't skimp on the sewer line. I'm telling you, it's well worth it. I find all kinds of stuff. A good point. I just finished a YouTube video. I'm about to release it probably later tonight about drain pipe under the house that I typically find and what kind of pipe I find during my sewer inspections. And I talk about Orangeburg pipe. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, Orangeburg pipe is a pipe that was used from like World War II up to about the 1970s.
Really?
Because there was a shortage of metals for the war. So the United States really had to come up with an idea because they had to spend all that resource and use all the steels and metals to make machinery, equipment, ammunition, all that stuff. So it caused a strain on the United States as far as building materials. So they couldn't keep making cast iron pipe for a while. They had to find a cheaper alternative so they could use those resources for the war.
So are these the clay pipes that you're talking about?
No, this is Orangeburg. Orangeburg is a black pipe. It's made out of a tar pitch, a wood pulp,
What?
and a bitumen,
Wow.
and it's bonded together.
That's why they call it that. Okay.
And it's named Orangeburg because it came from Orangeburg, New York. So that's why the company that made it was from Orangeburg, New York. So that's why they
Interesting.
called it Orangeburg. It was called the no corrode pipe. So my point is to bringing this up is on a flipped house, I found a large section of this, and they said the sewer line was replaced. There was like 20 feet of Orangeburg, and it was in really bad shape.
So when's the last time was used so you can...
They stopped using it around the 1970s.
Oh, okay.
The company went out of business in 1974. They were in business from the late 1800s
Yeah.
all the way up, but they didn't make Orangeburg pipe all that time. They only made that when the war started
Right.
and all that stuff. So
So that's interesting. So
Yeah,
when
it's
they
great.
say they've replaced the pipes, but not that.
what I'm saying
And you see that.
is just like I said, it's just part of your knowing. If you buy a used car, usually you have it checked out, right? It's the same
Yeah.
thing with buying a house.
I say yes, but most people don't.
Right. So I'm just saying, if you've taken the time and the money to inspect the house, understand the sewer line is a huge component of the house,
Yes.
but it's not part of the home inspection because it's an underground pipe that can't be seen unless you put a
That's
camera
right.
down there. So it's
Yeah.
not part of my home inspection. It's a separate service I offer.
Yeah.
So, but I think they go hand in hand. And typically the second question I get from anybody is, can you do the sewer too? And that's what I do just about every day.
Yeah.
So I do a home inspection and the sewer most of the time.
That's a convenient service to have here.
Yeah.
I know that in other counties, they're not the same. And you have to coordinate a plumber to come and do the sewer line for you.
Oh, really? Do you know what cities those are?
Yes, Kern County.
Really?
Every inspector I called, because I do cover Kern County and Ventura County too. Every inspector I called, they don't do both. And they referred me to plumbers. And I've been calling plumbers, and it's like, oh my gosh, trying to coordinate them to do it on the same day. It takes a bit of an effort.
Yeah.
It's like, really, you don't want to work?
Well, plumbers, successful plumbing companies, they have no shortage of work.
Yeah.
They are just slammed. Yeah. I mean, think about it. When you leave here today, when you're driving home, just count how many plumbing vans you see on the freeway.
Interesting. I think I'm gonna.
They're everywhere. Everywhere.
Everyone's always posting on Nextdoor or all those neighborhood apps.
Right.
Anybody know a good plumber?
So another thing I wanted to ask you about
Sure.
is, as a realtor, what is it that you expect from your home inspector? Like, do you expect your home inspector to inspect everything in the house?
Yes.
Okay, why is that?
So that my buyer knows what they're getting into. I don't want an inspector to tell me everything is okay, because not everything can be okay, not even in a brand new built home. And I think that often, I do hear that too from some buyer's reps when I'm the listing side, that they don't pay attention to what the inspector is going to say as long as they find an inspector to clear the report for them. You know what I mean? Not really find anything.
I think I might have asked you the question wrong. I think you're kind of going a
Tell
different
me.
direction. So what I mean is, different houses have different components. Not every house has a trash compactor,
That's right.
right? Not every house has a built-in vacuum system.
Of course.
Not every house has solar panels. Not every house has a chimney. Not every house has a pool.
Right?
Not every house is going to have fire sprinkler systems. So there's several things that home inspectors do not look at. So that's why I was asking that question. So there is a limitation to what we are going to do and what we're not going to do, which is another issue that is part of my effort to bridge the gap between realtors and home inspectors so that everyone's on the same page and the same information gets relayed to the buyers so that there's no miscommunication. Because what I run into daily is just constant miscommunication, unrealistic expectations, in other words.
Oh, I see.
Because, oh, you're the home inspector. And then I'll walk up, oh, John's going to check everything. No, I'm not going to check everything.
Oh, so I see what you mean. Okay, when I'm calling my inspector to inspect a property, I share with them the listing information.
Right.
Because the listing information often will disclose exactly what the property has, if it has solar, if it has built-in fire sprinklers. And the inspector, if they're a good one, will tell me, oh, I saw the listing and it has this and this, just letting you know, those are the areas I don't cover in my inspection.
Right.
So I know I need to get separate inspectors for those things that I want checked if I need them checked for my buyer.
Right, exactly. So
Yes.
that's something that
Yes.
I think a lot of realtors are not aware of. They think because it's in the house, we're going to look at it. If every house was exactly the same, then maybe the CREA standards of practice would be different. And that's what we follow. That's what I follow. I'm a CREA certified inspector, so I follow their standards of practice. And there's things that I do not cover. I do not look at chimneys at all, chimneys or fireplaces, because at the end of if I was to look at it and give it a visual, I can't look up inside the flue.
Right.
That's where the problems are. That's why you need to have a chimney specialist who's licensed, who can do a level two inspection. That's why I don't touch them. And I disclaim that from the beginning with my customer. It's in the inspection agreement. It says, I do not cover any part of the chimney or components. You need to have a chimney specialist come in. Same with solar panels. And a lot of people are surprised when I tell them, oh, you can't check my solar panel. I'm like, no, I'm not qualified for that. I don't have any training. I'm going to let you know that you do have them. And when I'm looking in your attic, I'm looking for water stains. And if I see a bunch of water stains in these random spots on the same side of your house where your solar panels are, I'm going to tell you, well, you know what? You definitely need to get those looked at because I think they're leaking.
Yeah.
The roof's leaking from the mounts,
Right.
So that's as far as I take it. And I have to disclose that. I'm not going to check your water pond on the property. I'm not required to check your outdoor barbecue. Sure, if I see electrical to it, I'll check those, make sure they're safe. But I'm not going to be turning on your gas, your barbecue, your fire pit. There's a lot of things that's not part of the process.
That's right.
Trust me, my process takes forever already. That's without all those extra things.
Yes.
So, but it's kind of a real buzzkill when I show up and I spend 3 hours on a house and the first thing I get asked by the buyer is, oh, did you check the lawn sprinklers?
Oh, right.
Oh my God, that is so unfocused right there. Who cares about your lawn sprinklers?
Yes, that's right.
You hired me for the home inspection, not your lawn.
That's right.
And I'm just like, wow. I guess you didn't read the inspection agreement, did you? Because that's something. That's another thing that's in there. They never do.
And you're actually one of the only ones I know that has the inspection agreement that you require the buyer to sign before they make a commitment.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of inspectors out there because oftentimes I'm in areas where you're not local, so I have to choose another inspector. And it's hard finding one. First of all, not many are certified.
Not many are that's
certified.
something we should probably cover.
Yes.
I don't mind talking about that.
Because my buyers will say, what's the difference?
Right. Well, the difference is training and experience.
Yes.
Honestly, you could be a home inspector tomorrow if you just took an online course.
I remember you telling me that.
Okay,
once.
that's
easy.
true. It is that easy.
I guess it shouldn't be that easy to get a real estate license either.
I'll tell you how to do it real quick. Get a website.
Yes.
Make sure it says home inspector in there somewhere. Get it marketed. Get some SEO working on it to get people traffic to it. Put out a couple ads. Go see some realtors. Give them a business card that says you're certified. Or maybe you can go this far. Tell them you're licensed to be a home inspector in California, and they'll probably believe that too. There is no licensing in California for home inspectors.
Wow.
But it's real easy to do. So if you're just looking for the lowest bidder, that's the guy you're going to find.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in working for free, and I don't expect anyone that I hire to work for free either. So that's just how I look at it. I think I provide a good service. I have the latest, to me, the best software on the market, which comes with a lot of perks like email reminders, text reminders, keeps everybody on point. Hey, we got an inspection tomorrow. Everybody's in the same loop. It just really helps me perform better overall. So when I'm at the house doing the inspection, all I'm doing is the inspection. The paperwork's been done days before. Everybody gets their automatic text messages. Everybody gets their automatic emails, reminders.
Yes, I get those, yeah.
So that helps me. You know, like I said, what should realtors expect with a home inspector, which is what we're talking about right now. And that's just something that is often overlooked. And now one inspector may do some of the things that I don't do, and that's fine. But if that realtor's only used to that guy and then I show up, then her expectations may not be met. But that's why I put everything in writing ahead of time, so everyone's on the same page. You know, when you get your first email from me is going to tell you, hey, thank you for calling us and so forth. And this is just to be clear, this is what we don't cover. So if these are on the property, you should have a specialist come out at the same time we're there, so you can coordinate better. I'm trying to make everything go smoothly.
Sure.
That's my point.
Yeah. And it does.
But it doesn't always happen. So
no, nothing is the same every single time. So.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anything else you can think of right now?
Not off the top of my head. We covered a lot of stuff today, John.
We did. We just yapped.
Yeah, we did.
We've been yapping for an hour and 11 minutes.
No kidding. I was thinking, has it been half an hour? No.
Oh, no. That's,
Really?
If it's interesting and you can keep, conversing back and forth, it can run into overtime.
I think home inspection is a pretty cool topic and an interesting and very important one.
Yeah.
I would hate to have any of my buyers or sellers overlook that part of the transaction.
Yeah, it's an important thing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get perspective from an actual realtor today, and that's why I invited you on.
I appreciate that. Oh, I'm totally honored that you chose me.
You gave a lot.
So many hundreds.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. But not everybody is a straight shooter like you.
Thank you, John.
So I know you're just gonna give it to me straight, because this is called Straight Talk.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And so, do you want to promote anything, like how people can find you and so forth?
I have a website, GallatinGroup.net.
Okay. GallatinGroup.net. And that consists of how many people?
I have 4 people on my team right now.
Okay. You want to mention their names at all?
Nairi Tagnazi, Chris Gallatin. The other 2 are a little too green. I don't think they want me to.
Oh, I'm very familiar with Nairi.
Oh, yes, because she calls you all the time, too.
Guess what? You know how you told me in the beginning you used to follow me around?
Yes.
That's what Nairi does.
Because I told her that's what she needs to do. And you know what? She's so good at what she does.
She's very nice. I like dealing with her. Yeah. She's awesome.
She's pretty awesome.
And Chris as well. I haven't seen Chris in a while. How's he doing?
He's doing pretty well. He does a lot of the technology stuff and the social media things for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one we have in Palmdale is kind of laying low for a time being. I think she's expecting her first child. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, it's just me. I had a few inspectors in the past. I had a few guys I was trying to train, and
I remember that.
I don't know if they just didn't like the workflow, or if I'm too hard to work for, which I probably am. I'll be the first to admit that I'm a pretty hard guy to work for.
I am too. I have really high expectations of the people that I'm working with, and I don't like shortcuts. I don't like shortcuts in my business, and I don't want my teammates to have shortcuts either.
So I'm just a one-man band. I own and operate Home Inspection Authority. I'm the only inspector. I take all the good calls and the bad calls. I pay all the bills.
Right. We run our businesses. That's right.
I have a YouTube channel. I don't know how I find time to make videos. I now have a podcast. So
I find these podcasts are very helpful. I like it when you post it on social media.
Yeah.
You're still, to get the word out. I love it. Yeah.
So what size shirt do you need? I got shirts for you.
I don't know. What size is that?
This is a large.
Probably a large.
Okay, I'll get you one.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sona Gallatin, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time out of your Saturday to come hang with me in this hot room.
It's pretty warm.
It's getting warm in here.
Yes.
So anyway, so signing off here, John from Home Inspection Authority. As a reminder, check out the YouTube channel. And if I have any related videos to the topics you spoke about today, I will put them in the description below the podcast itself.
Awesome.
So thanks for listening. Bye, Sona.
Bye. Thank you, John.
All right.